Hello and good evening, everyone. Tonight we have the premiere, and now I'm looking at myself, of this Hangout Pro. And this is a hangout where we get together, talk to interesting people who can teach us about their job or whatever they do that helps us. Today we have an amazing guest here, but before we start off asking her all kinds of beautiful questions, we do our round, short round. I think all the people that are here know us, but let's get a small round of introduction. I'm Laila from the Netherlands. My pronouns are she and her. Dani cannot talk because she has a sore throat. So she's Dani from Brazil, normally hosting beautiful events here on this platform. Belen, what about you?
Yeah, well, Belen from Spain, pronouns she, her. A pleasure to stay here.
We're always happy with your presence, Belen. Michaela, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm fat now, so yeah, no, I'm fine. So I'm from Germany. Pronouns are she, her.
Thank you so much, Juliana.
Hi everyone, I'm Julianne from Zurich in Switzerland, and I'm happy to be here. Pronouns are she and her.
Thank you so much. Faith, is that you with the beautiful picture standing on the chair?
Yes, it's me. Good evening, everyone. Faith. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you.
It's fine. I said, good evening, everyone. I'm Faith from Nigeria.
Thank you. Bibi, that is a new name for us. Can you introduce yourself to us? And if you cannot use the audio, you can also introduce yourself in the chat. Bibi, can you hear us? Me? Hi, Bibi. Thank you. Where are you connecting from? And what are your pronouns? We asked that, so this community is a safe space. So we need to know who's behind the camera. Thank you so much. So today we have a laughing person in my left corner, Christina Umhofer from San Francisco for a little while. She is, I need to have my cheat sheet, founder and CEO of the Umhofer Group, and as well the managing partner of Fred's Garage. And she told me she does this like 37 years or something. So I'm the opposite of Christina. I have always worked for a boss. So I would like to know, what kind of person are you, Christina?
What kind of person am I?
Yeah. Since we don't know you.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm someone who doesn't sit still, that's for sure. My mind is always going. Sometimes my body's always going in movement. I like to solve problems. I don't like to revisit problems, I guess is a better way to put it. So it's best for me to just solve them if they're solvable. And then if they're not, then you make a decision to move on or not. So that's kind of the basic of who I am, and yeah, chatty, somewhat friendly, if I want to be.
No, you're always friendly.
Yeah, I'm a mom. I have two sons, dropping one off at college. So yeah. What else?
And what moved you to start your own business?
Oh, good question. So
it's a big risk. How old were you?
It is a big risk. So the Umhofer Group I started in February of 2018. So that's what, 4.5 years old. And I started that, a friend of mine who I know, obviously who I know, but who I knew in the community. And he asked if I would want to be an inside sales rep for this company, Baker Energy. And I said, yeah, sure. Tell me what I need to do. And so he told me, and I was like, that's completely doable. seems fairly easy. So I started the Umhofer Group as essentially a sales consultant for renewable energies. And I have the option to represent multiple companies if I want to, because I'm on my own, bring whatever jobs to whichever company seems fit. I've opted not to do that. I'm on the fence right now to actually branch out to other companies. But I opted to stick with the Baker Energy team as far as representing. I just think ethics kind of comes into play, right? A little bit where who are you going to sell that job to, basically. And I just would prefer not to have my morals and ethics challenged when it comes to a contract. So I just stick with one. So that's how I started it. Somebody asked me and I went with it, and I signed the contract with Baker Energy in February, and in April of the same 2018, we had a conference call with a city in Southern California to be to provide power for their whole commercial side of their city. So I did my job.
And after that, because the Umhofer Group started somewhere.
It's started with me being able to talk to just about everybody. So I'm fairly decent at keeping connections. People I meet, I'm born and raised in the same city. So that, 48 years or almost 48 years in the same place. And I'm fairly active in my community, both with coaching and volunteering, with my kids' schooling, but before and after all of that. So in that, you have the opportunity to meet a lot of people or not. And I do, and I keep my contacts, those regardless of friendships or acquaintances, in good standing. It doesn't mean I don't dislike people and vice versa. It just means that I'm more diplomatic in the parting of ways if it need be. So if I ever needed to come back to somebody, then I can. So it really just more personality is what started the company.
Okay, so I didn't have time to read about the Umhofer Group, but what's your specialty?
Sales. So sales for renewable energy, and it's large projects. So not houses, not solar on top of houses. So like bringing, right now we're actually looking at fuel cell, which is the latest in renewable energy, but so it's large like 24-hour operation type businesses. So hospitals, grocery stores, data centers, cannabis, things that use a lot of power throughout the day. And we can usually cut their bill by about 20%. So, and it's, I know with cannabis, with like a 10,000 square foot, I don't know what that is in metrics. Someone will have to do the math for me. However, that is I think it's like their bill is something like $30,000 US a month for electrical, right? So to save 20%, that's $6,000. So at that point, you're paying 10 months for 12 months of power. So it's a decent savings.
Mm-hmm. I used to work for a short while in sales, and it's a pretty competitive branch. So what makes you stand out if you compare yourself to others? Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I'm a female, so that automatically, I mean, essentially every meeting I'm in, I'm the only female. So there's that, but also too, our business model is different. So the Baker Energy, thank you, Michaela. The Baker Energy doesn't, we don't charge for the service. So what we do is, so say, take the cannabis, right? So it's, 10,000 square feet is too small, but anyways, say you have a hospital, and it's going to cost $500 million to put in this system, right? We have the capital partners to put in that $500 million system. And so instead of them saving maybe 10%, they might save 15%, and we take the other 5% to pay back. So there's no other company that has the capital partners that will allow for full integration into a renewable system with no money out of pocket. So that's our biggest advantage.
Yeah, circling back on your what you said that you're a woman. How is the competition there? Because we live in a society mostly run by men.
Yeah.
So it's not, I can only assume that it's not easy to be on the table, at the table, sorry, not on the table. That's a completely other subject. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I know. We got a little distracted. But I'm the only woman in the meetings, and I can, there was one, oh, when was it? 2000, it was before all the vaccines came out. So it was after COVID. So I think it was October 2020. And we had to have an on-site meeting down in Southern California. So off I go. And so it's myself and I think 6, 7 men. And I was completely ignored all day. So if, I was, as the only woman, there's men sometimes sitting on either side of me, and this one gentleman would literally drop his eyes, go to the floor, and then come back up to look at the guy next to me. And so I just started to, I realized that, and I thought it was kind of funny, actually. And so I would start to physically position myself where he either had to do it and be super annoyed, or just be completely obvious. And then towards the very end of that, after like 8 hours of that, we had a meeting, and I don't know what his title is for Baker Energy. Anyways, he's the second in command. And he actually wasn't paying much attention to what had been happening for the past 8 hours. And so the guy who had been ignoring me for the whole time starts asking questions that he can't answer. And I had all the answers to it. And that was the only time he started to pay attention to me and realize that, I'm more than the chauffeur down in Los Angeles. But it doesn't necessarily bother me, because I was when growing up, I think I'd said this once before, that Title IX in the United States, right, supposed to allow equal funding for female sports with men's sports. And I was on that bubble as a child. And so a lot of my athletics, I started playing with boys. And I didn't stop. Even when it went to all girls, I still stayed with the sport that I liked, which was baseball. And so I was always in that man world. And so it was easy for me to pick up on kind of that, what was happening, and just kind of roll with it. I didn't take it personally. It allowed the game plan to be a little bit more fun, I guess. So yeah, you just deal with it.
Yeah, you don't seem to me like a person who makes a big deal out of it.
No.
No.
It was like, there was one time the guy goes, "Oh, you want to see the picture of the hotel before it was basically like demolished?" And these two guys go, and so I'm like, oh, so I position myself where he has no choice but to literally turn like 180 degrees. And it was just, yeah, it just became a game, because it was so ridiculous. And then at the end, when I knew all the answers, then it was like, oh, maybe I should pay a little bit more attention to her.
Okay, can you picture me how your day looks like? Because when you join our events, it's mostly in the morning, and you're always joining us. But how does your day look like? Are you really a CEO? What do you do?
I'm title only. So luckily everything's done usually on Zoom or a text, right? So there are times, I know I'm not always present on Ella events that I am messaging. Sometimes it's for work, not always, but sometimes it is. So it just kind of, whenever stuff happens, it pops up. Then I just take care of it. So the project right now is, what's the vulnerable position for me is the project in Southern California is I bundle it up and I basically give it to a whole other team, right? So now I'm completely reliable on that team to do their job. And it's not a fun space to be in. So when I have
Tell
questions,
me a little bit more about that, because you have managers and managers, and some managers are micromanaging and can't let go and don't trust their team, and other people, they see the bigger picture and also the talents of their team. Is it easy for you to delegate and let it go, or is it your little baby still?
No, I'm not good. If I trust the people, then I can delegate just fine. And that's been the case for the last couple of years, but lately I'm not as comfortable with that. I don't think that the team is doing really what they can. They're very in the box thinking, and I'm not. And I kind of feel that we've been down this path for long enough, so let's shake it up a little bit. And so they're a little bit more conservative with that, and they're like, well, we've been working on it for a year and a half. I'm like, I'm fully aware of that. Like, I've been right here with you. But every single thing that like I come up with, like any idea, it gets turned down a little bit. And then of course, like down the road, and finally gets picked up again, and it's like, we could have solved this 3 months ago. So it's difficult. It's really hard. But it just and it stinks. It really stinks, because that's how I get paid, right? Is once a contract is signed. So I've been working this for 3 years, 4 years, and with relying on somebody else to essentially do my job. But that's what I signed up to do. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I have opinions, and I usually express them. But it's not always appreciated.
Yeah, actually, you were already answering my next question. How do you generate new ideas? Is it a team effort, or is it your creative mind?
It's usually me, because they're so singularly focused, right? So I was online 3 weeks ago, I guess, and found an editorial right down from a local paper down there, and the editorial was spot on, and it had no idea who this person was, and so I sent it to the, I don't know what to call him, I guess whatever, the CEO of Baker Energy, and he was like, oh, who is this guy? We need to find him. I'm like, I already found him. Like, this is his contact, and I've already emailed him, right? Like, I'm on it. And I said, we need a counter. We need to counter this, not counter, but we need to add to this person's editorial, at the very least, and possibly join up with this person, because he was incredibly knowledgeable of all things going on in the city. And I said, and at the very least, then someone needs to talk at city council and finally get us on the agenda. All happened. Well, we didn't write the editorial, but I spoke at the city council meeting with guidance, with points. And, some people weren't entirely happy about it. And I don't really care, because it actually gave more answers than not. So I'm usually the one that has the ideas, because they're just super singularly focused. And I don't quite understand that, because again, it comes back to the problem solving, right? We have a problem. The city has a problem. They have no power, or they don't have enough power to continue to build, especially the permits that they've already allowed. So they have a problem. We have a problem. Let's find it. I'm tired of revisiting the same exact problem. So let's do something. Let's mix it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have an example or an inspiration, or is it all you?
No, the Umhofer group was just all me, and just doing what I do best, which is networking.
You're good at that. We know that.
I try. Yeah. So
to me, it sounds okay. I have to do this immediately, but I need security and a steady income every month. So how you sell it to me, it's amazing, and I would immediately go to you and do the same, at least if I had this amazing creative mind as you do. Are there disadvantages of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, not being able to get paid, and not having a steady income. Absolutely, that's probably the main idea, the main issue is not having a steady income.
And you do have a family, 2 sons. How do you deal with that?
Well, we're fortunate where we have passive income, right? So we've made some wise investments in our lives where we've been able to be okay with that, with the passive income. So that sustains us.
Okay, so if I have a list and I have to check all the boxes to be an entrepreneur, which 5 skills do I need to be as successful as you?
Oof.
Hmm.
That's a great question. Perseverance. You absolutely need perseverance. You're going to get hit on every single side of opinions and whatnot. You know, like, yeah, you'll get a lot of negativity. You'll get a lot of people saying you should do this or that, and you just have to be able to weed that out. And some days are easier than others, right? So that would probably be perseverance, ignoring naysayers, having some sort of financial security before you jump into something, especially if it's like a brick and mortar type business, right, where you have rent that you have to put up front to begin with, and then you have all the supplies and everything to build out of that. But yeah, so I don't know if I'd go beyond those. I don't think there's a top 5 for me. That's the top 3. Yeah, I don't know. Contacts, you got to be somewhat nice. I mean, you can't be like in customer service, you can't be a jerk. So, you know, get rest. I don't know. It's yeah, perseverance and money in the bank.
Yeah, that's for sure one thing that you're gonna need. Do you follow some specific self-control mechanisms to encourage you to keep walking when things are not going as smoothly as planned? Sorry, I get this beautiful question, but I had to ask it.
Who did this beautiful question come from?
There's only one creative mind on this platform, and that is Dani, of course. We all know that. Yes, show your face. She's still here.
Yeah, it's trust me, I have a lot of not so nice conversations sometimes with myself, just super frustrated, not the nicest words, you know, because it's just frustrating, right? Especially when you have these, I don't want to lump them all together because I'm raising 2 white men, but when you just have these like middle-aged white men who think they know everything, and you're just like, well, actually you don't, because we've been on the same path. There's been no change. So obviously what you're doing isn't right. So when I get in that frustrated state, I usually go for my walk a little bit faster and with not a lot of nice things in my head to get out so I can actually function. Yeah, that's probably it. And then I have a wonderful partner that hears probably 95% of it. So.
Okay, this is another question, a little bit sideways, but I like it. Do you believe that you created your own destiny, or that you controlled your fate?
No, I didn't definitely, I definitely more control my fate. I didn't know, because there's too many people in my past to say that I control my destiny. Right, because that's kind of what makes us is our past. So no, but I definitely took control of my hopefully future.
Sounds good to me. So you have two sons going to school, and they teach you a lot, as we know. That's an inside joke.
That's a whole other conversation. That's another.
No, I'm going somewhere. So I'm going.
That's never
somewhere.
have I ever. There's your question for tomorrow, Daniel.
She can't talk, so we'll see what happens. Maybe she can raise a sign or something. But look, you're not 21. We know that. How do you keep up with the technology? Do you have certain websites or blogs that you follow and that you need daily? Or apps?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, as far as like social media is, like I'm on LinkedIn. Twitter is another one. So larger companies that I follow, Bloom Energy's out of Santa Clara, California, and they're a huge fuel cell developer, actually. It's super cool, total side note, but they actually had fuel cells on Mars.
What?
Yeah, they had fuel cell. I can send the link, but they have fuel cell on Mars. And since I guess our systems, our atmospheric systems are similar, that when it's on Earth, they just literally flip like the opposite switch and it works equally here on Earth.
Okay.
And so they're out of Santa Clara. So I follow them. I just follow larger companies now that I'll be in Europe and Germany in particular. So I'm starting to follow larger companies there and just seeing what the technology is. There's one I'm super fascinated by. They have a whole, what's it called? It's in Sweden, but the whole entire city is like renewable. It's called the Smart City. I don't remember the name of the city, but I would love to go and see that and see how what they're using, what they're doing.
Mhm.
So I just stay up on that, but no, I'm not as technical as my kids. No.
No, but today is new and it goes so fast. Don't worry. Do you believe that there are any missed opportunities that you wish you have leveraged?
No.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
Uh-oh. Do you wish to share some of your failures and the best lessons you have learned from them? If any?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely fail, but I don't go down without a fight, I guess. Right. So I don't ultimately feel like I fail because I try every single angle before I finally just say, yeah, enough. Like it's not working, right? It's not really viable. But I can't necessarily say that I've had to do that in my personal life. Yes. In work, no. I've been fairly successful in work. Yeah. So no, not in my professional life.
That was a wise lesson, but I think you're one of a kind and that many people have had failures. But I think we call it a pit bull. How long until you stop trying?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think it depends on case by case, right? In my personal life, obviously with the father of my children, since he is the father, 21 years, right? So that was a lot of work, right? You just think of a Rubik's Cube where you're constantly changing the direction and trying to find it fits and it just doesn't. Yeah. So I think just when everything's exhausted and when you just finally realize that either you continue to give 100% to somebody's 50%, and that goes with anything, right? With work as well and personal. And you just at some point have to just say, I've tried, I've exhausted everything. I just think you need to, you'll know. I think you just know. Yeah, you just know.
Is it your gut feeling?
It is. I mean, especially if like in my case, take my marriage, right? For 21 years, I tried. And I'm still, after being out of it for a few years, still get the same exact, excuses. Same exact, what's his famous line is, well, I've thought that his famous line is, well, I thought about everything that you've, wanted me to try or wanted me to do, and which he never did. But I felt that if I did that, would that be good enough? Well, try. Let's just see. Let's give it a whirl. Try and see if it works and see if it's satisfied. See if it, I no longer talk about maybe I should get a gift for Mother's Day. If I get one. So try it. So I think you just. You just know when you work so hard at something and there's no return. All right, I guess it comes down to every single relationship's reciprocal. Every relationship, parent, child, partners, business partners, everything's reciprocal. And so if it's not, at some point you have to, you either come to terms with that it's not and you move on, or you come to terms with that it's not and you continue to suffer. So
Yeah, this is also for me an interesting question, the next question. So like I said, you do this for a long, long time, and I like an office nerd for 31 years, I guess. Do you think that entrepreneurs originally born as such, or are they raised to be successful? Because I thought about it, but for me, there are so many unknown factors. It's a big risk. And after 30 years, I'm not going to change it now. But what's your opinion on that?
I wouldn't say I was born this way. I definitely had a lot of support as a youth, with my family, friends. You know, I'm still friends with my core group. I have there's 6 people in my absolute tightest group of friends, and three of them I've known since I was 8 years old. So that shapes who you are, right? When you have that support, you have those people to bounce ideas off of, frustrations off of, you know, negative and positives. So I wouldn't say I was born to be an entrepreneur at all, but it's not something I thought about. I always wanted to be a pitcher for the Yankees, so that's definitely not entrepreneurial at all.
No.
But no, I think it just all kind of happened, right? Like as I got older and you know, was working, you know, even when I was in high school, college, I worked at a pizza place, and like 10 years later, they're like, hey, do you want to buy it? So it was just, I don't want to do things, I know we're half-ass, right? Part of my French, but I just don't, and I usually don't do anything. My name's attached to it, and you know, at the end of the day, you know, when we all die, no one's going to know what car you drove or what house you lived in, but they'll know your integrity. So I usually try to keep my integrity intact, and that also is my work ethic. So I think it just try to learn everything inside and out of whatever I do. So yeah, I don't think I was born. Nope.
No. So we did a promo post about what all the things that you do, and you also have a lot of community activities, and you're the chair of, help me,
The Optimist Club.
the Optimist Club. I like that. How could I forget that? And a little bit inside information, but you're going to make a real life change soon. Is it hard for you to leave that behind?
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. But there's little risk to a lot of reward. So there's that. Yeah, if everything's done in, you know, text and email. So work-wise, that doesn't matter.
Mhm.
I can also work, hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll know for sure if I can work in Germany. So that'll be helpful. But yeah, I mean, I've lived in the same city I'll be 48 next month, for 48 years. That's scary, right? It's all your comforts. It's my entire network is there. So yeah, so it's absolutely scary in that sense, but where I have been in a personal relationship and where I'm going are two different things, and it's absolutely worth, and Michaela is worth moving for, and I think it's worth us, for us as well. So I have yeah, it's scary, but I have no hesitation.
Oh, that's good to hear. Of course, we're happy about that, and we know.
Yeah.
And I foresee that you also will find a community there and be the chair of some sort of thing.
Yeah, once I know the language, it'll be easier for sure. Yeah, no, I know Michaela had already given. I used to coach for years, even before I had children. I coached softball and baseball. Baseball is my preferred because I don't know how to pitch softball. So, anyways, I'd prefer to know all the positions. But anyway, so she's already sent me a couple teams nearby to reach out to and see if I can help coach. But I think getting a work permit is primary concern. They'll probably want that because it comes with thorough background check. So I'm least of a weirdo some weird American coming in wanting to help coach. But yeah, once I get the language down, I'll definitely be more in the community.
Well, we know that you're already very persistent and adventurous because you're going to the other side. What's the most exciting experience to memorize so far in your entrepreneurial journey? Because it will last for a long, long time, I'm sure.
What's my most exciting?
Yes.
Well, just the mere fact that I at some point will be able to say that we get to power an entire city. Like, who gets to say I helped power an entire city, right? So that's pretty cool. So that's probably
Pretty
it.
cool. You're
Yeah.
kind of modest, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you think because of you being an entrepreneur that it turned you into a better person? Although I think you're already a really nice person.
No, I don't think my business not personality. I am who I am. I'm sure my business people would prefer me to turn down my personality a little bit, but no, I don't think my business side has nothing to do with who I am. Who I am, I bring into my business, but I don't bring the business into who I am.
Okay, so we know that you're very persistent, you're very successful, you had to power a whole city. So we give you this magic stick because you're such a beautiful. I give you the power. Which are the 3 things you would change in the world?
Ooh, 3 things that change in the world. Oof. Religion. I'd take religion out. Because I think you take religion out and you take wars out, you take entitlements out, you take the hierarchical system out, patriarchal system out. So I think if you take religion, you take quite a few things off the table. So from that, I would take religion. From there, golly, that's a good one. If we could change in the world, if we can not have plastics, that would be great.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and just be nice to people. I just don't understand why people are rude. I don't know. I just don't get it. So those are probably my 3 things: religion, waste. I don't know, clean water for everybody would be nice, and I think it comes back to, you had asked me what my quote is, and I say this a lot when I was coaching, but you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So if your people aren't fed, and aren't housed and don't have, clean water, we're only as strong as that, as they are. No matter where we live, we're only as strong as they are. So we have to look back more and bring up the people that want to be brought up, but also, put a hand out a little bit more.
True. That is a really nice answer. I was going into another direction, but I want to ask you another personal question.
Yeah.
If you were to write a book about yourself, how would you name it?
Oof.
Yeah, come on, you're here for a reason.
I am. My son's coming in the door. Hold on, you can come in. I'll just make sure he's off screen.
It's fine.
I think he is. Yeah. Come in. He has a key.
By the way, if you have questions for Christina, please put them in the chat or raise your hand, because this is your chance to ask Christina anything you want to know.
Okay, sorry, back to that. It was housekeeping. Sorry. If I were to title the book, Strong Woman. That's who I was raised by. I was raised by a lot of strong women. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So you are pretty successful, and you shared this beautiful story of powering a whole city. But Do you still have an ambition to reach?
Yeah, it's outside of work. I would love to do nonprofit work. I would love to start my own nonprofit, quite frankly, and youth, at-risk youth in particular, and seniors are my two soft spots. But I'd probably put as much time and energy into at-risk youth, and we won't have the problem in Germany, so that's different. But I would work a lot with our homeless as well, if we were in the United States. So we have, especially California has a huge homeless problem. But that would be it. Would be the at-risk youth. That's right. Before the pandemic, I used to tutor kids that had, I don't know, like a 1.0 GPA out of 4.0, so they can graduate junior high. So that's what I would do.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Do you believe that anyone should give it a try to be an entrepreneur, or is it better working for other people?
It's not for the faint of heart. I think you have to be the right personality to do so. Yeah, yeah, there's that's my answer. You just have to have the right personality. It's scary. It's scary. I'm lucky because I have passive income, right? So I can not get paid for 4 years, knowing that there will be a larger payout down the road. But I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without working a true job. There's no way. So it's not for the faint of heart. You just have to have the right personality to do it.
So Buffy is also in this session, and she commented on the event. So you can be my coach. Do you also coach people?
Well, only in the things I've coached was baseball, softball, and basketball. So only sports.
Only sports.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone wanted help or specific questions, of course I would. But yeah, I don't coach how to do this. It's such a personal endeavor.
Mm-hmm. And if you would do it, you would just say it out of the kindness of your heart, because that's the person you are.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, yes, yes.
Do you have a favorite quote?
I have two. One I already said, but I'll repeat it. One is, "You're only as strong as your weakest link." And the other one is we don't all have skill, but we all have effort. So as long as you give effort, I'm good. So, and that was plenty of the kids that I coached heard that.
But I can only assume it worked.
Yeah, there's that. There's sometimes it was, yeah. Like you can't hit the ball if you don't swing the bat. Like, why are you crying because you struck out staring at the ball? Like, don't come back to me crying. So there's somewhere a little more sensitive than others.
I like this approach, by the way. Buffy says that she's so sad because she's not into sport, but just flip it, Buffy, and it will work.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Buffy can ask questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer questions. So.
Oh, look at that, Buffy.
Yeah.
You got that one.
I can help.
Yeah, you're that kind of person. If you could talk to one person in history, from history, who would it be and why? Yeah, come on.
I'm gonna say John F. Kennedy. Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, one, I wrote my thesis on the Kennedy family, so I would love to. They're just such a fascinating, very intricate, dynamic family. I would love to yeah, I guess to know more. There's so many questions that lead up to them, and their dynasty of sorts. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad story.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just such a multifaceted. I actually have my family came from Ireland to New York, and then my grandfather ended up coming to San Francisco with my mom. So that's how I ended up in California, or how my mom did, I guess. And when both JFK and RFK were, Robert Kennedy were killed, my family was still in New York. And I have one of my great aunts wrote condolences to Jacqueline Kennedy. And I actually have her response back addressed to my aunt. So I still have everything. I have the mass cards. And so I had it specially framed and like historic papered and whatnot. So yeah, I would definitely choose the Kennedys.
I didn't see that coming, but it's a beautiful answer. Yeah. So we do have a question from Bibi in the chat. What is your advice for a person who got lots of ideas to become an entrepreneur?
Well, it depends on the ideas, right? So you have to go idea by idea and which one's the most viable to keep food on the table and a roof over your head. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. But I mean, ideas are, everyone has a great idea. Most people have a great idea. It's just what they do with it or not. So that would be my advice. Just see which one's the most viable and go with it.
Mm-hmm. So this is a tough question, a very tough question, and you need to follow the rules.
Okay, that's ominous question. Okay, go.
Describe yourself in 3 words only.
Unconditional. Forgiving. And resilient.
Okay, I'm looking at Michaela if I see a nod there. Just teasing you, Michaela. So I ran out of questions. So if anyone has a question for Christina, this is your chance. No one, Mirna,
I do. I do. Yeah. So now you're moving, right? You're moving from where you are, from where you built this company and your story with your family. How does it feel to leave this it's still going on, but you're not going to be so close?
Well, I'm in full control of that, right? So it's easier for me in that sense. Ask my friends, they're having a hard time, much harder time. Work is easy because everything's email or text, so that part's not a problem. There's airplanes, right? I can go back. I will be going. I have to go back in October. I have jury duty, so I have to head on back for that. Yeah, so it's modern technology. You know, my kids, my son, my youngest is going to be a freshman in college, and my oldest will be a senior. And so they're out of the house, right? For all intents and purposes. And they will, at Christmas, they'll be coming to us in Germany, and then they'll go back and spend the rest with their dad. And I think right now the plan is their spring break will also be in Europe. And I think the summer as well. So it's not going to really change. We'll, you know, I'm not going to not be a mom. I'm not going to not be a friend. I'm not going to not be a business woman. So that will all continue, just on a different continent.
I have another question. How would you define success?
Not money. Has nothing to do with money. So yeah, I don't know. Just if you're happy.
Fine, happy.
Yeah. What did you ask me a question? Sorry. Am I happy?
Yes, I know you are. I know.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's scary, right? It's for me, yeah, I'm going, 5,600 miles away. But it's modern technology is allowing it. I think one of my dearest friends is going to come, and she wants to come during the Christmas markets. So November, December. One of my sons will come a couple weeks after that. So it's not, I'd much rather be, let's just put it this way. I'd much rather be in a relationship, be with somebody on a different continent who I'm in love with and they're in love with me, than than be back in my city with somebody who doesn't want to be with me, you know, as far as partnership goes. So everything else can transcend to Europe. So that's that. So it's not scary.
It's an amazing story, and we sure hope that you will attend our all our events. And you already brought a beautiful person to our platform, so we're happy about that. So thank you so much for your time in this first Hangout Pro.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you here, and all the other people that joined us, of course. You also brought some new perspective, at least for me. And I hope that you will always share that with us when you join our events. And now it's time for me to give you an update on a special guest we have. Today it was you, but next week, Thursday, we have Morgana Love on Ella Talks. And some people might know her. She's from Mexico. She's a soprano singer. And she's one of the most powerful, influential transgender people in Mexico. So if you can join, please come join us next Thursday. And tomorrow we will have fun, of course, with Never Have I Ever. And I hope to see both of you, Christina and Michaela, because we always have fun in Never Have I Ever. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about your story, Christina. And I think that I learned a lot. And it was not even about being an entrepreneur, but just as a human being. So thank you for sharing that with us, and hope to see you.
Thanks for trusting in me. Yeah, thank you.
Of course, of course, of course. For now, yeah, we come to the end of this beautiful Hangout Pro. And if we have questions for you, we can ask you, of course. You made a deal with Buffy. So if you have questions, just DM Christina and she will be gladly answering you. We have a lot of beautiful comments for you, Christina. Bibi thanks you, Faith, Dorcas, and of course, Dani, who cannot speak. So thank you so much for your time, and everyone else. See you tomorrow at Never Have I Ever.
Thank you.